E te atua nau te korore a te mana whenua o tēnei rohi tēnā koe, hunga mate ki te hunga mate, haere, 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 te ongo ora ki a tātou to ongo ora. Ko vai te maunga, ko vai lima te aua, ko Aotearoa whituwha whiku toko waka, no te poti ahau e te tahi e noho ana. Ko Josiah tawi te tōku ingoa. O talo whalava, whakalopolahi atu, Nissan Bula, halo ola keta, Yorana, Modi, Ngamaste. How are we going out there? We're a little bit quiet tonight. So how are we going out there? Yeah. Chew! Can I hear a chew? On 3. 3, 2, 1. Chew! That's right. We're here to celebrate. We're here to celebrate 14 amazing Pacific young people who are doing beautiful work. Before we kick into the awards tonight, as our MC has said, whawhatai John for tonight. Josiah's my name. I'm one of the trustees of the Pacific Cooperation Foundation. I was appointed earlier this year, and I think, I could be wrong, I might be the first young person who's been appointed to the PCF board before. And so I just want to acknowledge what the government has been doing personally around increasing the numbers of Pacific young people and young people on our boards. I think the opportunity tonight, the people who are about to come on the stage and we're about to acknowledge, they are the same people who are making the path, as many of us have been part of making the path. Many of you in this room have been making the path around mentoring. And if there's one thing I want to leave before we invite everyone up, it's 1 Timothy 4:12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you were young, but set an example in the believers in love and life and faith and speech and in purity. As a young person, there's many, many times when I haven't had a lot of support to understand my Pacific identity. There's been a lot of times I haven't had a lot of support to be able to share my voice. But there was at the same time, we had our Pacific communities in Christchurch who made a space for me to do that. And I know for each of the award winners tonight, you as the families, you as the community have helped make that space. We've got the team of 5 million. In our Pacific communities, we've got the team of 8.1%. And I guess as a community, we have the opportunity to not knock each other down. We don't have the numbers. We don't want to be like that anyway. We want to bring our Pacific alofa, our love to how we do things and mentoring and making space for our current young leaders alongside our current main leaders, co-holding the baton together so that we as our Pacific communities are best set up. I mean, we saw it through COVID, didn't we? The Pacific young peoples who are helping the families, who are helping translate the messages, all the different ways, all the stories you're going to hear tonight. That's all I have to say. And whawhatai. So, tonight there's 2 special awards that I get to announce. We had the 10 awards that people could apply for. And our team worked through who are the candidates who should receive those. But we as Pacific Cooperation Foundation wanted to acknowledge 2 Pacific young people who couldn't neatly fit into any of the categories, who we feel their outstanding leadership speaks to all of who we are and is influencing all of the areas. This is not to diminish any of the other awards, but we just wanted to acknowledge them as part of this process as well. So, the first one that I've got to introduce tonight is the Supreme Award for Pacific Youth Advocacy. That's pretty big, eh? Advocacy over so many areas. And I'd like to invite one of our board members, Rachel Patero. Please come forward, Rachel, who's going to present this tonight. So, can I get a drum roll, gentlemen? So, this award will go to Aigagalefili Fepulea'i Tapua'i. Give her a round. So just as Fili's coming up, she won the Young Leader Award in the Westpac 2020 Woman of Influence New Zealand Awards. She's a head girl at Aotearoa College, and she's an Indigenous and climate activist, a founding member of Chair for the Culture, an Indigenous South Auckland environmentalist collective, who most recently co-organised the largest and most well-attended climate strike. In 2019, you were the New Zealand Storytellers High School champion. I think the bit that stands out for me out of everything that you've done, and particularly what you were able to do during lockdown for our families' voices, not to single out any part of your journey because there's been so many things, but that in particular, you helped cut through in a way that our voice hadn't before bless you and thank you so much for the way that you put yourself out there and your family have put yourselves out there so that our communities have a better life here. Whakataitele lava, please come forward and say a few words.
Talofa lava, my name is Aigagalefili Fepulea'i Tapua'i. I'm 18. I'm from the villages of Whaiai in Sangonge in Sava'i, Samoa, and I'm so honored and blessed to be here. The last time I was actually in Wellington, I was 5 months old. My parents brought me down here for a peaceful march against the Western Samoan Immigration Act of 1982. And now I'm here and I still feel like a baby. So here we are. I was born and raised in no other place other than the 275 Mangere, South Auckland. And I had a pretty colorful childhood. I'm one of 9. I have 6 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the youngest daughter. And I was born to very, very, very supportive parents. My mother, who is sitting there right now, Untitled Fepulea'i Tapua'i. But being born and raised in South Auckland, I grew up in an environment where so many social issues compounded us all at the same time. It was not easy to be confident in myself, facing the stereotypes and the negative media representation we face as youth growing up. I stand here accepting this award and also knowing that there is no way that I could ever be the sole voice or that anyone could ever be the sole voice for our youth or our Pasifika people. Because if that is so, then we're ignoring the other voices that need to be heard. So I want to honor all the youth here today, all the parents who have come here and made this possible, and all the youth I know who don't get to stand up on stages like these, because they are just as important as the rest of us. In saying that, growing up, we were taught that to make it in life, you had to leave the hood. From the ages we were old enough to watch TV, we were made to feel like we were only capable of the negative depictions of ourselves that we saw on TV. Before we're even old enough to know who we are, we're taught to hate the parts of ourselves that we can't change. You know, growing up in a place like South Auckland, you get the normal rites of passage. You go out, you play on the streets with your friends, you laugh. In some neighborhoods, I guess they call that being a kid. These days, we would say that, oh, kids don't go out and play outside anymore, they're just always on their phones. For us growing up, when we went and played outside, people would laugh at us and call us hood rats. So I guess if I was a hood rat, I'd put proud in front of it. They teach us to hate the parts of ourselves we can't change. But once we learn to love them, we learn to love each other. And we learn to look past all those negative connotations and our own perceptions of ourselves. I'm often reminded of all the ways that our people have been so resilient throughout history, throughout my own life, the examples I've seen. And this year alone, all my peers that I've seen in my school, in other schools, in the schools that I work with for the culture, we have met people taking food parcels to houses where they had more than 12 kids to feed. I know people who are now getting scholarships who spent this whole year working night shifts. And so it's so beautiful to see the way that our youth are able to stand up and use whatever platform they have, no matter how big and how small, to be able to contribute to our community. Someone asked me why I'm so passionate about Pacific youth, and I would say to be passionate about Pacific youth is to be passionate about the future of New Zealand itself. The contributions to this country can't be overlooked. And someone also asked me why I do the work that I do, and I guess to that I would say it's not work, it's just life. When we talk about climate change, in the most simplest way that I can think about it is just the want for our homelands to still be there. You know, no one ever wants to think about burying their parents in any other place other than the village they were born in. And so I think, for me, in terms of our youth, the want is for them to be safe. It may be inspirational to watch them survive, but I think it's even more inspirational to make sure that they are protected. And so when you think about it like that, I don't think it's work. I think it's a privilege, and I think it's an honor. And so I'm very honored that I got to accept this award tonight. And I thank all the people in this room who have made it happen, all the shoulders of the giants that we stand upon, and every other awardee tonight. This is the collaboration, this is the village, and this is the vow. I'm so honored to be a part of it. Whakataitele lava.